a life of hypocrisy, where you think you can be good with Allah and bad with the people, and that's not possible. That's not possible. So this is one way that you start to identify, like never justifying fatal flaws. So when someone says, brother, sister, the religion is not all that, and they'll point to certain rituals in Islam, and you're right. The religion is not all this in terms of a ritual, right? But if you're saying that to diminish the ritual, to diminish a ibadah, to diminish an act of worship, you're only fooling yourself. It sounds great as a tweet. It's not going to go very well for you on the Day of Judgment. And then if someone else comes and diminishes character and says, who cares? This person does this, but at least that person prays, at least this person does this, at least I do this, at least I do that, and diminishes major, major, major character flaws, then on the Day of Judgment, that person might end up as a bankrupt person. So how do we start to deal with this? Inshallah ta'ala, a few things that I'll mention. Number one, the fara'id, what is mandatory is the same for everyone. And halal and haram are the same for everyone. Listen, we're coming to a time where people are just not going to tell you what you need to hear anymore, because people are not going to want to offend your sensitivities and your sensibilities. We're living in a time where algorithms are catered towards what you like to hear and what you like to see, not what's going to challenge you to be better. Everything around you is becoming more intelligent at satisfying you in your delusion. And you have to do that much more work to overcome that and to make yourself hear what's going to actually better you, inshallah ta'ala. And Ramadan, when it comes, is a great time to do that, by the way. It's a great time to do that. Like, there are things that I need to hear, and even if someone's not telling it to me, I'm not just going to keep on looking for confirmation bias. And the algorithm is inherently confirmation biased. So you start with what? What's fard? What's mandatory on every Muslim? What's halal and haram for every Muslim? And if I'm falling short somewhere there, what's my game plan to get to it? Even if I'm not yet there, but I'm going to acknowledge it, and I'm going to be uncomfortable with that discrepancy, and I'm going to try to make progress towards settling that discrepancy in my life, whether it's on the side of ritual or on the side of character. That's number one. Number two, there are recommendations for healthy spirituality in the realm of what is nawafil, in the realm of what is voluntary, that will benefit you in every one of these buckets. So for example, qiyamul layl, the night prayer. Even if it's 15, 30 minutes, even if it's 2 rak'ahs, qiyam has a way of infusing goodness into every single one of the dimensions of your spirituality and your character. Because it makes you more focused on the sight of Allah, it makes you more introspective, it makes you more reflective, it makes you more disciplined. It is so wholesome as a ibadah, as an act of worship, that it will infuse goodness. It's completely voluntary, but it will infuse goodness into all of those. Reading the Quran is one of those as well, right? You can't say that, well, for this deficiency I need to read less Quran. No, reading the Quran is always going to have some way of pushing you. Making dua is always going to have some way of pushing you. So finding those acts of worship in the voluntary sense that push you towards a softer heart and a greater zeal in trying to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next thing that we find is that growing in one area of ibadah or character will inherently affect the other areas of your life. This is, subhanAllah, a very powerful statement from Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah as well on this idea. And before I say the statement, let me give you an example here. If you're going to the gym and you're working out a primary muscle, there are all sorts of benefits to surrounding muscles, right? That maybe will not be identified on the chart on the side of a machine. But your overall health is increasing, and the muscles around it are getting stronger as well. And sometimes they're really small muscles and small things that people don't even see, right? But there's an overall benefit. That doesn't mean that you don't have to focus some attention and diversify and hit those different muscle groups. But what that means is that when you're improving one element of your health, you're improving all of it. And so when you're becoming a more focused Muslim on your character, on your faith, and you're actually targeting certain goals for yourself every single year, that this year, this is how I want to look like a better Muslim this year.